back to George. What's up, guys? GeorgeTheCloud here. Welcome to the channel and welcome to my life. We have George Benson on Broadway with lyrics. Big shout out to Brad. Thank you so much for the coffee request. So he has sent me some information here about the video. It says this is from 1978, originally written in the 60s and done by several artists such as the Drifters, which I don't think I've heard of before. But George featured it in a jazz format on his guitar and brought that beautiful scat into the mix. I send you the album version because some of the live versions are 10 to 14 minutes long, which is no problem. No problem at all whatsoever. I have no fear in my heart for long videos, but I think it's probably best to start off with the original before moving on to the extended version here. So I have done only 2 reactions to George Benson. You can find them here on my channel, but I do remember the scatting because not many people have done that, especially not now. Okay, so let's get into the video. First time hearing this song in my life. Thank you guys for tuning in. If you have a reaction request, please go to my Ko-fi page or Patreon. It helps out a lot. Grab some popcorn, fill up your water, put your headphones on. And we begin.
They say the neon lights are bright on Broadway. They say there's always magic in the air.
This is like a karaoke type of video.
But when you're walking down that street and you ain't had enough to eat, the glitter rubs right off and you're nowhere. They say the women treat you fine on Broadway, but looking at them just gives me the blues. 'Cause how you gonna make some time?
Higher notes.
Is one thing dime, and one thing dime won't even shine your shoes. They say that I won't last too long on Broadway. I'll catch a Greyhound bus for home, they all say. But they're dead wrong, I know they are, 'cause I can play this here guitar, and I won't quit till I'm a star on Broadway. I won't quit till I'm a star on Broadway. No, 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 no. I won't quit till I'm a star. 'Cause I know I can now.
the bass. With an electric guitar. Okay. This was live, mind you, in 1978. I think it's very impressive sound quality for this being almost 50 years old. First things first, we hit the like. I am subscribed to George, and I'll have a link of the original video down in the description below. That bass line is so catchy because it's really repetitive. It's like super basic, I would say, but it goes on and on and on. And I was just thinking about that the whole song. Do 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 do, and then they just like kept on adding layers on top of that. But overall, like, it wasn't that filled with a ton of music. It just felt kind of minimal. His voice, the bass line, a little bit of a maybe electric guitar on there, which I was saying that when he scats, he kind of scats in tune with the guitar play, like the notes on the guitar, so they kind of match and they start to harmonize. By the way, scatting, I keep telling you guys, it's so difficult, and it just takes like a certain type of person to do it, like a certain engineered brain to be able to accomplish it without you getting tripped up, which I don't know, maybe it sounds ironic, because maybe some people that stutter, that have that difficulty, they can scat and they do it well. But in my case, I think if I were to scat, I would start to stutter. It has the opposite effect. And when you're doing it live, then I think maybe it's even more, I mean, probably most things are more difficult live because you have the pressure of having an audience and the expectation, and you got the cameras, the lights, everything else. But listening to that, it sounded like perfect. Like, even the scatting, I was like, everything about this sounds like it was meant to be. And I don't know how you even write it and perform it like to the letter. Could be that some parts are improvised, but this is what I'm saying. Even if he did improvise, it sounds like it was written that way. And by the way, this is very difficult to cover. Maybe that's why people don't do George Benson covers. I can't imagine it, because how do you cover scatting? I guess you would have to make your own version. Maybe you, instead of scatting, you hum, or you do other, vocal technique. But to try to replicate scatting, I think that's up there in terms of like difficulty. It's kind of like imitating a very fast rapping, But yeah, speaking of Broadway, this to me sounds very Broadway-ish. And this is coming from somebody that knows nothing about Broadway, never been there, never auditioned for anything. I'm not a star, guys, but I'm here to give you my opinion. And listening to the lyrics, he was saying like, yes, you got this big fame, you have the embellishment of being able to be on Broadway, and like this is what people want to be, this is their dreams. And back then, originally the 1960s, this was a big deal. Broadway was like, okay, you want to be here, right? New York, Broadway. If you wanted to be an actor in theater, on TV, this was the place. Still to this day, but not as much. Things have clearly, gone down and in different directions, right? So it's not like absolutely necessary. But back in the day, it was just like, okay, you had to be there. But he was also saying, like, when you're, what was the exact line here? Like, when you're starving, like, those lights go dim real fast, right? You're not, when you're fighting for your life, then you're not gonna see it in the same way. But still, like, maybe you use that as motivation to get to Broadway. That's what I'm getting, because he's saying, I want to be there. I want to get there. I want to be on Broadway. Even though he understood, like, both the reality and the dreamy version of that place. Let's see what the comments are saying. Not a ton of, well, this video is kind of recent, but what are people saying here? Happy to have found the lyrics. Yeah, I like the way they made this video. Like I said, it's very karaoke-ish. So if you were to perform this singing, I guess you could, look at the lyrics on here, but good luck on the scatting. So, meaning. Let's go back to, you know what? In fact, let's first look up the original. This is for the history. For the history lesson of today. So get your pen and paper ready to take some notes. George Benson's famous version of On Broadway is a live recording from his 1978 album Weekend in LA. Weekend in LA? Broadway's in New York though, right? Or am I incorrect? Anyway, though the song was originally written by Barry Mann, Cynthia Weil, Jerry Leiber, and Mike Stoller, and first made it famous by the Drifters in 1963. Wow. And having heard this version, I'm trying to think of what it would sound like originally without so much of the jazziness and the scatting, but I really can't. I would have to listen to what the Drifters did, because my brain is only occupied with this version right now. It reached number 7 on the Billboard Hot 100, number 2 on the Soul chart, and won the Grammy Award for Best R&B Vocal Performance. Speaking of his vocals, before I forget, I've described them a little bit in the previous reactions, but it really reminds me of this singer. I can't remember his name, but I will look it up really quick here. I did a reaction to We Are the World, right, by USA for Africa, and in there was this singer towards the end. We Are the World. Maybe you guys can tell me his name, because I'm blanking out. There were so many musicians on there, and it was like a really similar tone. The singer here was a bit more aggressive, right? Let me pause the volume here. But it was kind of close to George Benson here. Let me stop it on the exact frame. It was towards the end here, right before Ray Charles, which, by the way, I've never reacted to Ray Charles. There's still so many people here to discover on the channel. Hold on. Wait for it. This is just to make a small point here. And now I am right here. This guy, this is not George, is it? There's no way. But yeah, this is the guy that I'm thinking about. Full screen. That his voice is kind of similar to George Benson. Before, I kind of described George's voice a little bit to Stevie Wonder, I guess in how he delivers the lines, kind of in a certain way. I'm trying to replicate here for the example, but it's hard. But his tone is more like him. Okay, well, I think that's gonna do it for the reaction, guys. As always, I am open for suggestions, for your commentary, your critique, your feedback, everything else. So feel free to let me know, subscribe, and at the end, do a flip. Till the next.